When you buy your first camera, the price that you pay is not final. The moment you start taking photos to the final output, there are some tools that you may need that may cost you a little more. When you're creating a budget to buy your first camera, factor this in so that you are well informed when you make the purchase. If you are getting a camera for casual use, some of this may not apply to you. But if you are doing it professionally, most of these are really a requirement. When you buy a camera, the camera comes with a box like this. Inside of it, there is the camera body, camera strap, the battery charger, and also the battery. Depends on which product you get, depends on which camera you get, it may be slightly different. It is a camera body without a lens. Sometimes you can buy it bundled with a kit lens. If you are buying it during the promotion, you may see that some of the cameras will have some freebies. These freebies are the indication of those hidden costs. But that's not all. I'll be dividing it into 3 categories. The first will be the essential stuff that is required for your camera to function. Starting with the most obvious one. If you buy a new camera, even used, you may be only getting the body itself. Without a lens, it will never work properly. There are a few options to buy a lens. You can buy the kit lens bundled with the body. Usually it's a good way for you to start using a camera. But sometimes you will find the kit lens not suitable for what you need. For example, this RF 24 to 50 lens. Usually people who buy the lens with a limited focal length knows what they want exactly. But this, as a kit lens, is very questionable. So when you buy this kit lens bundled with the camera, you may be wasting your money because down the line you realize the range is not enough. So when you're searching for a body, research on the lens as well and factor the cost in it because it is the second, if not more expensive than the camera body. Now secondly is the battery. Camera do comes with a battery. If you are not using it very often or in a long duration, one battery may be what you need. But if you are bringing out for travel, you are using it for the whole day. If you are taking photos, sometimes you may survive with one battery, but if that camera's battery capacity is very low, you may need at least 2. So getting that extra battery is a cost that is going to help you in the long run. And battery is not cheap. Of course, there are third-party options which is a lot cheaper, but my advice is always buy original ones because not just that the capacity is higher, but it also lasts longer. Although when I got my first camera, I went on to buy third-party batteries and I've never really had any problem with it, touch wood. But I do find the original battery to be so much better. If you have the money to spare, get the original ones. Next is the SD card. Unless you get it from the camera shop that bundles SD card with the camera, if you buy the body itself or buy used, you may not get one to begin with. And in order for you to save your photos or videos in a camera, you need a storage, which is an SD card. Depends on the camera you use. You can check the spec sheet for the highest bit rate for the highest possible output of a camera. You can check the SD card write speed, whether it matches your camera or it's higher than what your camera needs. After taking all the photos, now you want to send it to somewhere. The next category will be the things that you need after you have taken the photos. And everything that stores in your SD card, you need an adapter to transfer it to either your phone or a PC. You can buy an adapter like this, where the SD card just slot it in and then you can just plug it into your PC. Or if you have a laptop, some laptop do comes with the SD slot. After plugging your SD card into your PC, you can either just use the JPEG and share it away, or if you want to edit your photos, you need a photo editor or video editor. Luckily, there is a free editing software called DaVinci Resolve, which is a very professional editor that is free. The interface may scare you at first, But as long as you know the basics of it, it pretty much is as simple as all the other free software online. As for photos, you can look for anything that is Photoshop equivalent, like Photopea, or since it's free, you can download and explore it to see which one suits you best. But if you want more capabilities in your editing software, that's where the cost comes in. And of course, in this process, if you don't already have a PC or anywhere that you can transfer your photos to, those are the things that you also need to consider. The next category will be the things that in a short while you will find yourself wanting it. And the first thing, which is more important, is a camera bag. When you want to bring it out, you don't just stuff your camera into whatever bag that you can find. You probably need a dedicated camera bag that has a padding to protect your precious camera. Speaking of storage, you also need somewhere to store your memory card. Other than that, if you haven't got a straps that ease your hand ache by hanging your camera around the neck when you're not using it, you may need to invest in that. As for the lenses, you may want something to protect the front element, and that can be a lens hood or a UV filter, which is an extra glass to protect the glass of the lens. These are the accessories that may seem extra, but it is really a quality of life improvement. The next thing is a tripod. Depends whether you are doing photos or videos or a hybrid of both. There are times that you may need to put down your cameras for a specific shot. You can put it on the floor, but then all your shots will be from the low angle. So a tripod is required, especially if you're doing it professionally. Speaking of doing videos professionally, the mic in the camera is basically just a placeholder. If you're doing it professionally, you need the audio to be good, and that's where you need to invest in a video mic that looks like this. This is the voice coming from the camera itself, and this is the voice coming from the video mic. After using your gears for some time, it may get dusty or dirty. That's where you need a cleaning kit. Those things comes quite cheap, but they were never given when you buy your camera. So these are the hidden costs of buying your first camera. But there is another category that I will call things to look out for long term. Things that you need to look out for is extra storage. The more photos or videos that you have taken, the more storage that you need to store it, unless you want to delete it, which why you want to delete it. So sometimes we don't shoot in 4K if it's not necessary, because the file size is just too big, and very quickly you will need more internal storage. Upgrading your internal storage can be very expensive. So be aware of the file size and the requirement for each of your shoot. If you are doing photos professionally, there are times that you may come across the need for a flash or a speedlight. Some cameras comes with the flash, but you cannot adjust the direction of the flash, and you cannot really diffuse the light that pops out from your camera. This is where an investment for a flash is needed. Next is filters. Like I previously mentioned, where a UV filter in front of the lenses can protect the lens, these filters comes with different types, and each type serves different purposes. For example, an ND filter is like a sunglasses where it puts a shade in front of your lens so that when you bring it out in the bright daylight and you want to stop down your aperture to get shallow depth of field, but it's too bright, so an ND filter will be able to dim it down. Last but not least, when you invest in a camera system, whether be it Nikon, Canon, Sony, Fujifilm, Panasonic, Olympus, and if you are to expand your hobby into something more and you want to upgrade in the future, you will anticipate some costs in those upgrades. Depends on which system you are, it might be more expensive or cheaper. So these are the hidden costs of buying your first camera, at least in the first year. I am looking forward for you to get your first camera. If you already gotten it, congratulations. Let's start creating and let's grow together as a filmmaker, videographer, and a photographer. I'll see you next time.